Red Dwarf, the popular science fiction sitcom, just turned 30 years old, and to celebrate, I'm going to be looking at what I consider to be the top 10 episodes that the series had ever made. And spoilers, the best one is not Back to Reality. So, let's start with number 10. Future Echoes is the second episode of Series 1 and brilliantly sets up some of the series' science fiction concept, and also deals with them in a surprisingly realistic manner. Humour and the acting, as with a lot of Series 1, is a little bit ropey, but for the early days, this is easily the best they had to offer. In at number 9, we have a Series 3 episode, Polymorph. This was their alien spoof without using aliens. Special effects in this one, again, are a bit ropey, however the concept of an emotion-sucking leech results in some brilliant character-driven comedy, with each of the characters becoming strange caricatures of one another. This is a brilliant episode that visually maybe doesn't stand up anymore, but conceptually is always going to be a classic. In at number 8 is Better Than Life, a Series 2 episode that was shot in real, and you can tell. But I've given this enviable spot because I think conceptually this is brilliant, and also does what science fiction does best in trying to predict the future, and in this case kinda got it right with VR headsets. And before you say, well, they clearly just look like stupid bicycle helmets, yeah, because VR headsets don't look stupid. In at number 7 is Back to Reality. Now then, if you ever do a poll of the top 10 episodes of Red Dwarf, Back to Reality will always win it. Period. Underlined. End of discussion. It will always win because it always wins. That's just how that one goes. The concept itself is delicious, and the writing behind it is utterly phenomenal as well. The totalitarian state, the complete flip around of all of the characters is brilliant. This is also the last appearance of Hattie Hayridge as Holly, and fittingly, she literally saves the day. That said, we never do get an answer to one very important question. Why does Rimmer have a swimming certificate? At number 6 is a new entry with Macocracy. This was in the most recent series, and I think the writing in this is bloody phenomenal. Red Dwarf does character-driven comedy very well, so when it is set on the ship with only the characters playing off of each other, you get the best lines imaginable. We also have one of the rare pairings of Rimmer and Kat, and the reasons for the two of them working together is perfect. Samsara is a Series 11 episode and plays off of the Series 4 episode Justice, even going so far as to name drop it. I love this episode because directorially it is done very differently from a lot of other Red Dwarf episodes, and it just has a more artistic angle on it. Essentially, this is two stories weaved into one, much like Back to Reality was. However, the two interplay across different time zones simultaneously. The story of the two lovers on the Samsara is bizarrely tragic, and it's contrasted nicely with the comedic hijinks going on the Samsara in the future. I think this is a massively underrated episode, and I love everything about it. In at number 4 is Gunman of the Apocalypse, the only episode to ever beat Back to Reality on a couple of polls to first place. It's also the only one that's ever won an award, and you can see why. The setting, again, is very different for Red Dwarf, and I think in a lot of cases, some of the best episodes are the ones where it just does something completely different. Gunman takes a very clever science fiction concept and managed to spin it in such a way that we end up doing a western, and visually it is done brilliantly as well. Not only the soaring into the sunset, there is ship designs that represent cow skulls. They actually managed to find a western city, and it all just looks brilliant. The comedy as well is excellent, with Kat having a rare opportunity to excel as well. This really is essential watching for any Red Dwarf fan. Number 3 is Crichton, a Series 2 episode and the only episode where Crichton is played by David Ross, who would later go on to be Talkie Toaster and, you know, also have a theatre career, but who cares about that? Some of the scenes on the Nova 5 are bloody fantastic and stand up excellently even to this day. I will never fail to laugh at a skeleton falling headfirst in a bowl of soup. Because it's a Series 2 episode, the sets are still wobbly, everything's still great, but the writing is so pitch perfect in so many areas that it just doesn't matter. This really is an episode that deserves more credit than it gets. In at number 2, we have a Red Dwarf classic, Quarantine. Everybody knows and loves Mr. Flibble, and they probably shouldn't do. This one takes the character of Rimmer and turns him up to 11 by turning him into a psychotic maniac. Bizarrely, this episode actually is really creepy from start to finish. Chris Barry, creepy as sin in this one. one. The writing on this is simultaneously claustrophobic and also bloody hilarious, but better still in my opinion is number 1, with Demons and Angels. Now then, I would seem to be alone in liking this one. This is a busy episode, I'll be the first to say it. However, because of how it's paced and because of how it's written, it feels like it's twice as long as it actually is, and that's no bad thing because there is a lot going on. The low ship is where all the action is, and the caricatures of each of the characters as their darker, evil selves is brilliant. And the reveal of Dark Rimmer will always go down in my memory as one of the funniest things the show has ever done. But what do you guys think? Let me know down below what you think are the best episodes of Red Dwarf. Thank you very much for watching, and please do subscribe to the channel for more geeky content.